coming on the air with breaking news of what appears to be an Iranian missile attack on Tel Aviv.
On June 13, 2025, a seemingly ordinary day, the world held its breath, unaware of the seismic shift about to occur. News headlines hinted at escalating tensions, but few could foresee the extent of the disruption that was imminent. The skies over the Middle East, once crisscrossed with countless flight paths, fell silent. An eerie stillness descended, replacing the familiar drone of jet engines with an unsettling quiet. The air, usually alive with the contrails of passing aircraft, was now starkly empty. This unprecedented event followed a dramatic escalation between Israel and Iran, a conflict that had been simmering for years but suddenly reached a boiling point. The world watched with bated breath as diplomatic efforts faltered and military posturing intensified. Airports that once buzzed with travelers, a symphony of languages and hurried footsteps, became deserted, echoing with an unsettling emptiness. Departure gates stood vacant, their screens displaying only canceled flights, and flight paths vanished from radar screens, leaving behind a blank canvas where intricate networks of air travel once existed. Air traffic controllers stared at monitors devoid of the usual blips, a stark visual representation of the crisis unfolding. Within hours, a region connecting Europe, the heart of international commerce and tourism, Asia, a continent of booming economies and ancient cultures, and Africa, a land of vast landscapes and burgeoning potential, became a no-go zone for aviation. The ripple effects were immediate and far-reaching, impacting global supply chains, tourism, and countless other sectors. This was not a few canceled flights, it was a total shutdown, a complete cessation of air travel across a vital geographical area. With Israel and Iran at the center, the epicenter of this unprecedented aviation crisis, and neighboring countries quickly following suit, extending the no-fly zone and exacerbating the global impact. For millions dependent on travel, whether for business, leisure, or family connections, the world suddenly shrank, distances became insurmountable, and plans were thrown into disarray, and uncertainty took hold, casting a shadow over future travel arrangements and international relations. The conflict didn't just shift politics, it had a tangible impact on people's lives, disrupting carefully laid plans and severing vital connections. It made travel nearly impossible, creating a logistical nightmare for businesses and individuals alike. Erasing the certainty global movement relies on, the assumption that we can easily traverse borders and connect with people across the world. This story isn't just about politics, about the geopolitical tensions that led to this crisis, but about how closed skies and empty airports, the tangible consequences of conflict, have reshaped daily life, altering routines and forcing people to adapt to a new reality. For travelers, stranded and uncertain about when they can resume their journeys, workers, facing job losses and economic hardship as the aviation industry grinds to a halt, and entire industries teetering on the brink of collapse as the flow of people and goods is disrupted. The absence of planes and tourists, the silence where there was once a constant hum of activity, is a stark reminder, a sobering reflection on the fragility of our interconnected world, of how quickly freedom of movement can disappear, and the profound consequences that follow. The initial and perhaps most immediate shockwave was the total closure of airspace. It was a decision made swiftly, born out of necessity and an abundance of caution. This encompassed a vast area, specifically across Israel, Iran, Jordan, and Iraq. The implications were far-reaching, affecting not only commercial airlines but also cargo flights and private aviation. Ben Gurion Airport in Tel Aviv, a major international hub, and Tehran's Imam Khomeini International, a vital link in the east-west air corridor, fell silent, stranding thousands of passengers mid-journey and effectively cutting both nations off from the rest of the world. The human cost was immediately apparent, with families separated and business deals left hanging in the balance. Jordan and Iraq, finding themselves caught in the crossfire of geopolitical tensions, made the difficult but necessary decision to close their skies as well, all in an effort to protect civilian flights from potential danger. Safety was paramount. This created a vast no-fly zone stretching from the eastern reaches of the Mediterranean Sea all the way to the strategic waters of the Persian Gulf. The shutdown was immediate. There was no time for orderly departures or gradual adjustments, just abrupt cancellations, widespread confusion, and mounting frustration. passengers suddenly faced indefinite delays, with no clear indication of when they might be able to continue their journeys. The terminals became eerily empty, the concourses deserted, and there was very little reliable information available to those affected. Across Europe, Asia, and even North America, the repercussions were felt as flights to the affected region were cancelled en masse, leading to a domino effect of disruptions. The ripple effect was truly global. Travel plans collapsed for countless individuals, and the world's intricate aviation network was thrown into unprecedented chaos. Indeed, for the first time in modern aviation history, a critical and heavily trafficked bridge connecting continents simply vanished from the global flight map. The region's airports, which had long served as vital gateways for international travel and commerce, abruptly became stark symbols of isolation and uncertainty. The far-reaching disruption would continue to echo worldwide, impacting travel, trade, and international relations for weeks to come. In the immediate aftermath, airlines worldwide scrambled to respond to the rapidly evolving situation. The scale of the disruption was unprecedented, demanding swift and decisive action from every corner of the industry. The initial response was to suspend all flights to the affected region, prioritizing the safety of passengers and crew above all else. This decision, while necessary, had a cascading effect on global air travel. Major European carriers like Lufthansa and Air France-KLM were among the first to react, grounding flights and reassessing routes. The impact on their operations was substantial, requiring significant logistical adjustments. Across the Atlantic, Delta and United also canceled routes, facing similar challenges in managing their international schedules. The ripple effect extended to countless passengers, leaving many stranded or facing significant delays. In some instances, planes already en route were forced to turn back mid-flight, adding to the complexity and cost of the crisis. These unscheduled U-turns highlighted the immediate and unpredictable nature of the situation. On day one alone, Eurocontrol, the European Air Traffic Management Organization, estimated that a staggering 1,800 flights to or from Europe were directly affected by the airspace closures and rerouting efforts. Airports became congested, and passenger frustration mounted. Of those, a significant 650 flights were outright cancelled, leaving thousands of passengers stranded and disrupting travel plans for countless others. The cancellations rippled through connecting flights and onward journeys. Major Middle Eastern airlines, including Emirates and Qatar Airways, also felt the impact as they urgently rerouted or canceled dozens of flights to avoid the restricted airspace. These adjustments required careful coordination and added considerable complexity to their operations. Meanwhile, Air India made the decision to divert its long-haul routes, adding significant time and distance to already lengthy journeys. This led to widespread delays across their network, impacting passengers and creating logistical headaches for the airline. In a proactive move, Israeli Airlines took the step of evacuating their fleets, relocating them to safer locations in Europe and Cyprus. This drastic measure involved suspending all operations to protect their aircraft from potential harm, highlighting the severity of the perceived threat. With the airspace over Iran and Iraq effectively off-limits to commercial aviation, airlines were forced to reroute flights over alternative corridors, primarily over Egypt, Saudi Arabia, or north through Turkey, adding significant detours to established routes. These detours inevitably added hours to already long journeys, significantly driving up fuel costs and ultimately impacting ticket prices for passengers. As a prime example, a London to Delhi flight, a popular international route, suddenly took an additional 1 to 2 hours to complete due to the necessary rerouting around the closed airspace. The crisis served as a stark reminder of just how interconnected, and perhaps surprisingly vulnerable, the global aviation network truly is in the 21st century. A single regional conflict, thousands of miles away, was able to send immediate and powerful shockwaves through travel networks worldwide, impacting millions of passengers and highlighting the delicate balance of international air travel. On the ground, daily life in Israel and Iran changed overnight. Israel declared a nationwide emergency, ramping up military presence and tightening security at malls, stations, and public spaces. Air raid sirens and bomb shelter drills became routine. Foreign governments issued urgent travel warnings, and insurance for travel to the region was voided. In Iran, military drills and security patrols increased, with air defenses on high alert. Foreign nationals found themselves trapped as embassies urged them to leave at the first safe chance. The freedom to move, visit sites, or even walk city streets was replaced by caution and constant alerts. For the few tourists left, vacations turned into lessons in crisis management. For locals, it was a new level of disruption in an already turbulent region. The sense of normalcy vanished, replaced by uncertainty and vigilance. Israel's tourism industry was just beginning to recover from the 2023 war when the new conflict struck. Hopes of revival vanished as Ben Gurion Airport closed and international flights stopped. Hotels saw bookings evaporate overnight. Tour guides lost their last clients. The sector, already down $3.4 billion since 2023, faced even deeper losses. Hotel occupancy in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, once 80%, had dropped to 10% after the previous conflict, and now, recovery was impossible. Many hotels closed or housed displaced residents. Small businesses faced bankruptcy. The government's investments in new attractions and hotels now serve an empty future. The vibrant markets and historic sites are silent, their lifeblood, tourists, gone. For hundreds of thousands who depend on tourism, work has disappeared. Without peace and open skies, Israel's tourism dreams are on indefinite hold. Iran's tourism sector, once on the rise, was abruptly halted by the conflict. Over 7 million tourists visited in 2023-24, drawn by history, culture, and affordability. The closure of airspace and flights wiped out tour operators' calendars overnight. Military escalation and isolation shattered years of effort to attract visitors. Tourism, a vital source of foreign currency, vanished, deepening the strain of inflation and a weak currency. Artisans, hoteliers, and guides in cities like Isfahan and Shiraz lost their livelihoods. The perception of Iran as unstable now overshadows any hope of quick recovery. The dream of Iran as a major tourist destination has been postponed indefinitely. The crisis rippled across the Middle East, paralyzing travel in neighboring countries. Jordan's airspace closure halted flights to Amman, freezing its tourism industry and stranding visitors. Iraq, a key air corridor, saw hundreds of flights rerouted, losing vital overflight revenue. Egypt faced a surge in rerouted air traffic, straining its airports and raising fears of instability. Even Gulf hubs like Dubai and Doha suffered cancellations and delays, disrupting global connections. Headlines about conflict made travelers wary of the entire region, leading to widespread cancellations. The entire Middle East's travel ecosystem was thrown off balance, from Amman to Dubai. A localized conflict became a regional crisis with far-reaching consequences. The economic fallout is staggering. Israel's tourism losses, already at $3.4 billion, continue to mount, affecting workers, businesses, and the broader economy. Airlines worldwide face huge costs from canceled flights, rerouting, and passenger refunds. Stock prices for major carriers dropped, adding to industry woes still lingering from the pandemic. In Iran, the loss of tourism revenue deepens an already dire economic situation. Business travel halted, further isolating the country and stalling growth. Rebuilding trust and attracting visitors will require years of investment and stability. Until then, millions across the region will feel the pain of closed skies. As of June 14, 2025, the skies remain closed and recovery is distant. No airline will risk flights until security is restored and the threat of conflict recedes. When airspace reopens, recovery will be slow. Limited flights, high prices, and lingering uncertainty. Tourism industries must not only wait for flights but also rebuild shattered confidence. Governments will need to invest in safety and marketing, but peace is the only true solution. The region's travel landscape is fundamentally broken. Airports closed, flights grounded, and tourism in collapse. The desire to visit remains, but practical travel is impossible for now. The journey back to bustling streets and open skies will be long and difficult. Only lasting peace can restore the freedom to explore these ancient lands.